Please, sir. My mama said this is really, really important. The little girl's voice trembled as she held out the crumpled envelope. The CO looked down at her, his expression unreadable. He'd built walls so high that even he'd forgotten what warmth felt like. But something about those hopeful brown eyes made him pause. He took the letter, and in that single moment, everything he thought he knew about himself began to crumble. The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Sterling Global Headquarters, 47 stories above Chicago's financial district. Inside the corner office, Alexander Hayes stood perfectly still, watching the storm reshape the city below into something blurred and unrecognizable. He preferred it that way. Distance, clarity through glass, control. At 33, Alexander had built an empire on precision. Sterling Global didn't just dominate the tech industry. It redefined it. And Alexander didn't just run the company. He embodied it. Sharp suits in shades of charcoal and navy. Dark hair always perfectly styled. Eyes the color of winter storms. Cold and calculating. His assistant, Margaret, had worked for him for 5 years and could count on one hand the number of times she'd seen him smile. Not because he was cruel, but because he simply didn't see the point. Emotions were inefficiencies. Attachments were liabilities. That Thursday morning started like any other. Market reports at dawn. Conference calls with Tokyo and London before most people had their first coffee. A breakfast of black coffee and silence. Then his desk phone rang with an internal line he almost never heard. Security from a main lobby. Mr. Hayes. The security guard's voice was uncertain. There's a situation down here, sir. Handle it. Alexander didn't look up from his screen. Sir, it's a child. She's asking for you specifically. She has a letter. Alexander's fingers paused over his keyboard. A child? Yes, sir. She's maybe 5 or 6 years old. She came in alone during the morning rush. Says her mother sent her to find you. She won't leave until someone reads her letter. Where are her parents? That's what we're trying to determine, sir. But she's insistent, and she's crying now. Something in Alexander's chest tightened, an unfamiliar sensation. He closed his laptop with more force than necessary. I'll be down in 5 minutes. Don't let her leave. Margaret looked up in surprise as he strode past her desk. Sir, you're 9 o'clock. Postpone it. In the gleaming marble lobby, a small figure sat on the edge of a leather bench, her legs too short to touch the floor. She wore a yellow raincoat that was 2 sizes too big, rain boots with cartoon ducks on them, and clutched a sealed envelope to her chest like it contained the secrets of the universe. Her name was Lily. She had chocolate brown hair that fell in damp waves around her face, and eyes that were too old for someone so young, the kind of eyes that had seen too much sadness too soon. When Alexander stepped out of the elevator, the security guard gestured toward her. Lily looked up and their eyes met. For reasons he couldn't explain, Alexander felt the ground shift beneath him. He approached slowly, deliberately, the way someone might approach a frightened animal. When he reached her, he crouched down so they were at eye level. Hello, he said, his voice softer than Margaret had ever heard it. I'm Alexander Hayes. I heard you have something for me. Lily nodded solemnly. She held out the envelope with both hands, her small fingers trembling. My mama wrote this. She said it's the most important letter in the whole world. The envelope was worn, as if it had been held and reheld countless times. The handwriting on the front was elegant despite its shakiness. To Alexander Hayes, please read. Your mama sent you here alone? Alexander asked gently. Lily's lower lip quivered. She's too sick to come. The nurses said she can't leave her bed today. But she made me promise to bring this to you. She said. A tear rolled down her cheek. She said if you read it, maybe something beautiful can happen before she has to go away forever. The words hit Alexander like a physical blow. He took the envelope carefully, as if it might disintegrate in his hands. What's your name? He asked. Lily Marie Carter. Carter. The name echoed through his memory like a stone dropped into a deep well, sending ripples through years of carefully constructed walls. Would you like to come up to my office, Lily? It's warmer there. And I think Margaret keeps cookies in her desk. Lily wiped her eyes and nodded. Upstairs, Margaret's eyebrows nearly disappeared into her hairline when Alexander walked off the elevator with a small child in a duck-printed raincoat. But one look at his face told her not to ask questions. She simply found the emergency stash of chocolate chip cookies and brought them with a glass of milk. Alexander settled Lily in a chair by the window, the same window where he'd stood countless mornings, looking down a world he kept at arm's length. She munched on cookies while he sat at his desk, the unopened letter before him. His hands were steady as he broke the seal, but his heart hammered against his ribs in a way it hadn't in 7 years. The letter was written on simple notebook paper, the lines slightly crooked, as if the writer's hand had shaken with every word. Alexander, if you're reading this, then Lily found you. She's braver than I ever was. I'm dying, stage for cancer. The doctors say I have weeks, maybe a month if I'm lucky. I've made peace with that. What I can't make peace with is leaving this world without telling you the truth. Lily is your daughter. Alexander's vision blurred. The words swam on the page. I know this must come as a shock. You have every right to be angry. I kept her from you, and I'm sorry. But I need you to understand why. 7 years ago, when I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. We'd only been together for 6 months. You were building your company, working 18-hour days, talking about expansion and acquisitions and changing the world. You had this light in your eyes, this fire, and I loved you so much it hurt. Then my sister showed me the article, the interview where you said you'd never have children, that they were incompatible with the life you'd chosen, that you'd seen too many colleagues sacrifice their ambitions for family, and you refused to make that mistake. I read those words over and over, sitting in that clinic bathroom, staring at the positive pregnancy test. And I made a choice. I told myself it was noble, that I was setting you free to build your empire, that I was protecting you from a responsibility you didn't want. But the truth? I was scared. Scared you'd resent me. Scared you'd choose your company over us. Scared I'd watch the man I love grow cold with obligation. So I left. I moved back to my hometown. I raised Lily alone. And every single day, she asked about you. Where's my daddy? Why doesn't he love me? And every single day, I lied to her. I told her you didn't know about her, because I wanted to spare her the truth, that I'd made the choice for both of you. Lily has your eyes, Alexander, that same storm gray color. She's brilliant like you, already reading chapter books and solving puzzles meant for kids twice her age. She has your stubborn streak, your dry humor, your way of tilting her head when she's thinking hard about something. And now I'm dying, and the only thing that terrifies me more than leaving her is leaving her alone. My parents are gone. My sister moved to Australia. There's no one else. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not even asking you to remember the love we had. I'm asking you to meet your daughter, to give her a chance at having a parent who stays. She deserves that, even if I don't. Please, Alexander. She's the best thing I ever did. The only good choice I made in 7 years of bad ones. With all the love I still carry. Emma. The letter slipped from Alexander's fingers and drifted to the floor. Emma Carter. A name he'd buried so deep he'd almost convinced himself she'd never existed. Almost. She'd been everything his controlled life wasn't. Spontaneous, warm, full of laughter that sounded like music. An artist who painted murals on the sides of buildings and believed the world was more beautiful than people gave it credit for. They'd met at a charity gala he'd been obligated to attend. She'd been serving champagne to pay her way through art school. He'd watch her charm every person in the room with nothing but genuine interest in their stories. And he'd been captivated. 6 months. That's all they'd had. 6 months of her teaching him to see color in a black and white world. 6 months of actually laughing, of staying up late talking about dreams instead of projections, of feeling like maybe there was more to life than winning. Then she'd vanished. No explanation. No goodbye. Just a text message. I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. He'd tried to find her. Called, texted, showed up at her apartment to find it empty. Eventually, he'd done what he always did with pain. He'd locked it away and focused on building his empire higher, colder, more impenetrable. He'd told himself he was better off alone. Now, sitting in his office with his child, eating cookies by the window, he realized he'd been lying to himself for 7 years. Alexander stood slowly and walked to where Lily sat. She'd finished her cookies and was now looking out at the rain-soaked city, her small hand pressed against the glass. "Lily," he said quietly. She turned to face him. "Did your mama tell you what was in the letter?" Lily shook her head. She just said it was the truth, and that the truth is scary but important. She was right. Alexander sat down beside her, his throat tight. "Your mama, she's very sick. The doctors call it cancer. It makes her really tired. And sometimes she cries when she thinks I'm sleeping." Lily's voice was matter-of-fact, but her eyes glistened. "But she still reads me stories every night. And she makes my favorite pancakes, even when her hands shake." "What kind of pancakes?" "Blueberry, with chocolate chips. She calls them Lily's Special Smile Pancakes because they're supposed to make me smile when I'm sad." Alexander's chest ached. "Do they work?" "Sometimes." Lily looked at him with those two old eyes. "Are you my daddy?" The question hung in the air between them. Simple, devastating, impossible to avoid. Alexander had built a career on calculated decisions, on analyzing data, assessing risk, choosing the path that maximized profit and minimized loss. But this moment required something he'd locked away years ago: honesty without armor. "I think I might be," he said softly. "Would that be okay with you?" Lily considered this seriously. "Mama showed me pictures. She has one of you in her drawer. She thinks I don't know, but I've seen it. You look like me. Same eyes. Same stubborn chin, too," Alexander said, and for the first time in years, he felt his lips curve into something genuine. Not the practiced smile he used in boardrooms, but something real. Lily touched his face with her small hand, examining him like he was a puzzle she was trying to solve. "Will you come see Mama? She won't say it, but I think she's scared. And maybe if you're there, she won't be so scared anymore." "Yes," Alexander said without hesitation. "I'll come. Promise?" "I promise." Lily threw her arms around his neck, and Alexander froze. He couldn't remember the last time someone had hugged him. Couldn't remember the last time he'd allowed it. Slowly, carefully, he wrapped his arms around her small frame and held on. St. Catherine's Hospital was on the south side of the city, far from the gleaming towers of the financial district. Alexander's driver pulled up to the entrance, and Margaret, who'd insisted on coming despite his protests, carried a bag of items she'd somehow acquired in the 2 hours since Lily had appeared: coloring books, crayons, a stuffed elephant, and a bouquet of sunflowers. Sunflowers were always her favorite, Margaret said quietly when Alexander looked at her in surprise. "You mentioned it once. Years ago. You said someone you knew loved them because they always face the sun." He had said that in a rare moment of unguarded memory. Thinking about Emma, Lily held Alexander's hand as they walked through the hospital corridors. Her small fingers wrapped around two of his, trusting and warm. Every few steps, she'd look up at him as if making sure he was still there. Room 412. The door was slightly ajar. Alexander's hand hesitated on the handle. Behind this door was a woman he'd loved and lost, dying because life was cruel and arbitrary. Behind this door was the truth he'd been running from for 7 years without even knowing it. Lily pushed the door open and slipped inside. "Mama, I brought him. I brought Daddy." Alexander stepped into the room. Emma lay in the hospital bed, propped up by pillows. She'd lost weight, too much weight. Her once vibrant auburn hair was thin and covered by a soft cap. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. But her eyes, those warm brown eyes that had seen beauty in everything, were the same. When she saw him, her face crumpled. "Alex," she whispered. He crossed the room in 3 strides and knelt beside her bed, taking her hand. It was so small, so fragile. "Emma, God, Emma, why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was stupid," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Because I was scared and proud and I thought I was protecting you. And now I'm dying and I've wasted 7 years and I'm so sorry." "Stop." His voice was thick. "Just stop. I'm here now." "You're really here?" She touched his face with shaking fingers. I thought I didn't know if you'd come. I'd have come 7 years ago if you'd asked. But the interview, I was 26 and stupid. I said what I thought successful people were supposed to say. I didn't. His voice broke. I didn't know what I wanted until I'd already lost it. Lily climbed onto bed carefully, nestling against her mother's side. See, Mama? I told you he'd come. I told you he had nice eyes. Emma laughed through her tears, the sound weak but genuine. You were right, baby girl. You're always right. Alexander pulled a chair close to the bed and took Emma's hand again. Tell me everything. The doctors, the prognosis, the treatment options. All of it. Alex, it's stage 4. It's in my liver, my lungs. I didn't ask for surrender. I asked for information. Something sparked in Emma's eyes, recognition of the man she'd fallen in love with, the one who never accepted defeat. There's an experimental treatment at Northwestern, but it's expensive in the wait list. Consider yourself at the front of that list as of right now. Give me the doctor's name. Alex, you can't just... Watch me. By that evening, Alexander had made 17 phone calls, including one to the head of Northwestern's oncology department, who happened to be at a charity gala Alexander had sponsored the year before. Emma was scheduled for a consultation the next morning. He refused to leave her room. Margaret brought him changes of clothes and his laptop. Lily curled up in a chair beside him, coloring pictures of our family, stick figures with labels, Mama, Daddy, me. Late that night, after Lily had fallen asleep, Emma whispered, "Why are you doing this?" Alexander looked up from his laptop. "What kind of question is that? You don't owe me anything. I kept your daughter from you. I lied by omission for 7 years. You should hate me. Should I?" He closed his laptop and leaned forward. "Emma, you made a choice based on words I said when I was too young and too stupid to know what mattered. Was it the right choice? No, but I understand why you made it. And right now, blame doesn't matter. What matters is that you're here, Lily's here, and I'm not losing either of you if I have anything to say about it." "You're different," Emma said softly. Harder, but also there's something underneath. Something I remember. You left me before I could show you who I really was. Maybe this is my chance. I don't have much time to find out. Then we'll make the most of what we have. Over the next weeks, Alexander's life transformed in ways that would have been unimaginable a month earlier. He moved into a corporate apartment near the hospital. Lily stayed with him, officially temporary, but they both knew it was more than that. He learned to make blueberry chocolate chip pancakes. His first 3 attempts were disasters, but Lily ate them anyway, declaring them almost as good as Mama's. He attended every doctor's appointment, asked questions that made the medical team uncomfortable, and pushed for answers when they tried to sugarcoat the prognosis. The experimental treatment showed promise. Emma's energy improved slightly. She could sit up for longer periods. Her appetite returned in small ways. But Alexander also learned something harder. Sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes medicine fails. Sometimes miracles don't come. One morning, he received a call from his head of PR, Veronica Walsh. She'd been with Sterling Global since the early days, ambitious, ruthless, and utterly loyal to the company's image. "Alexander, we need to talk." Her voice was tight. "There are rumors circulating about a child, about you taking time away from the office. People are asking questions. Let them ask. This could affect stock prices, investor confidence. We need to get ahead of this with a statement." "No statements. Alexander, this is not a PR crisis. Veronica, this is my life, my daughter, and I will not turn her existence into a press release to make investors comfortable." There was a pause. "People are saying you've changed, that you're distracted, weak. Then they don't know me as well as they think they do." He hung up. What Alexander didn't know was that Veronica had her own reason for concern. For 2 years, she'd been positioning herself not just as his head of PR, but as his eventual partner, both professionally and personally. She'd made it clear she was available, interested, willing to be the kind of woman who fit into his control world. She'd watched Emma disrupt everything with a single letter, and she decided to take action. Veronica made copies of Emma's medical records, illegally obtained through a contact at St. Catherine's. She leaked them to a gossip site with an anonymous tip. Tech billionaire Alexander Hayes caught in paternity scandal. Dying ex-lover claims child is his. Seeking fortune before death. The story exploded overnight. Alexander's phone rang at 6 a.m. with Margaret on the line. "Sir, you need to see the morning news." What he saw made his blood run cold. Photos of him and Lily leaving the hospital. Photos of Emma in her bed. Her medical records, private, intimate details of her condition, splashed across tabloid websites. And the narrative, gold digger, opportunist, deathbed con. Alexander's hands shook with rage. Not because his privacy had been invaded. He'd dealt with press before, but because Emma would see this. Because Lily might see this. Because someone had weaponized a dying woman's illness for clicks and gossip. He called his legal team. "I want to know where this came from. I want every person involved identified and prosecuted. And I want it done yesterday." Then he drove to the hospital. Emma was crying when he arrived, her phone in her hand. "Alex, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. For your reputation." "Forget my reputation." He took her phone gently and set it aside. "None of this is your fault. But they're calling me a gold digger. They're saying I'm using Lily to..." Stop reading it. Stop listening to it. People who've never known real love will always try to cheapen it. He sat beside her bed and took her hand. "Emma, I need to ask you something." She looked at him with red-rimmed eyes. "Marry me." Emma blinked. "What?" "Marry me. Today. Right now. Let's make it official before..." His voice caught. "Before anything else happens. I want Lily to have both parents legally. I want you to be my wife. And I want every single person who leaked your medical records and called you names to know they're wrong about you. Alex, you don't have to. I want to. 7 years ago, I should have chased after you. Should have asked why you left. Should have fought for what we had. I didn't. But I'm fighting now. So marry me, Emma Carter. Make an honest man out of me." Through her tears, Emma laughed. "You're insane. Is that a yes?" "That's a yes." They were married that afternoon in the hospital chapel with Lily as their flower girl and Margaret as their witness. Emma wore a simple white dress that Margaret had somehow procured. Alexander wore the suit he'd had on when he got the news that morning, though he'd taken off his tie. The ceremony was brief. When the chaplain said, "You may kiss your bride," Alexander leaned down carefully and kissed Emma with all the tenderness of a man who'd finally found his way home. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the chaplain said. Lily cheered, and through paper flower petals she cut from her coloring books. That evening, Alexander's legal team delivered their report. The leak had come from within his own company, from Veronica Walsh, who'd paid a hospital administrator for Emma's records and then distributed them anonymously. Alexander's decision was swift and final. He fired her immediately, reported her actions to both medical ethics boards and law enforcement, and released a statement that was picked up by every major news outlet. Earlier this week, private medical records belonging to my wife, Emma Hayes, were legally obtained and distributed by a member of my own company in an attempt to damage both her reputation and mine. These actions were criminal, cruel, and completely unconscionable. Emma is the mother of my daughter and the woman I love. She's fighting for her life with more grace and courage than anyone I've ever known. She's not a gold digger or an opportunist. She's my family. To those who profited from her pain, you will face the full extent of legal consequences. To those who believe the narrative without knowing the truth, I hope you never experience having your darkest moments turned into entertainment. And to Emma and Lily, I'm sorry this happened, but I promise, from this moment forward, I will protect you both with everything I have. Public opinion shifted overnight. The gossip sites that had published Emma's records faced lawsuits. Veronica Walsh was arrested on charges of illegal data access and distribution. But more than that, something shifted in Alexander himself. He didn't return to the office. Instead, he worked from Emma's hospital room, laptop balanced on his knees, participating in video conferences while Lily colored at the foot of her mother's bed. The doctors at Northwestern were cautiously optimistic. The experimental treatment was showing real results, not a cure, but time. Precious, valuable time. Emma's color improved. Her energy returned in small increments. She could walk short distances. She could eat meals without nausea. And every day, Alexander was there. He learned things he'd never thought to care about. How Lily liked her sandwiches cut diagonally because triangles taste better than squares. How Emma hummed old jazz songs when she was happy. How both of them wrinkled their noses the exact same way when they were thinking hard about something. He learned that love wasn't inefficiency. It was the point. 3 months after that first letter arrived, Emma was discharged from the hospital. Not cured. The cancer was still there, still fighting but stable. Strong enough to go home. Alexander had purchased a house while she was in treatment. Not a mansion or a show of wealth, but a warm, sunlit home in a quiet neighborhood with a backyard for Lily to play in and a studio space for Emma to paint in when she felt up to it. The first day in their new home, Alexander carried Emma over the threshold while Lily danced around them, singing about how they were a real family now. They were. That night, after Lily was asleep in her new bedroom, walls painted her favorite purple, shelves full of books, a nightlight shaped like a star. Alexander and Emma sat on the back porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching fireflies dance in the summer darkness. "I need to tell you something," Emma said quietly. Alexander tensed. "What is it?" "The doctors gave me a prognosis. When I first got sick, they said 6 months. Maybe less." His hand tightened on hers. "Emma, that was 8 months ago, Alex. I'm still here. They can't explain it. The treatment helped, yes, but something else is happening too. Something they didn't expect." "What are you saying?" She turned to face him, eyes bright with tears and something that looked like hope. "I'm saying maybe I get more time. Maybe not forever, but more. Enough to see Lily start first grade. Enough to paint again. Enough to have more mornings with you." Alexander pulled her close, his own eyes stinging. "I'll take every second you've got. Even if it's messy, even if it's hard. Especially then." They sat in silence, the fireflies glowing in the darkness like small miracles. Temporary, beautiful. Proof that light could exist even in the darkest moments. 6 months later, Lily turned 7. They threw a party in the backyard. Nothing elaborate, just a few of Lily's new school friends, neighbors, and Margaret, who become something of a surrogate grandmother. Emma had painted a mural on the back fence, a scene of sunflowers reaching toward a brilliant blue sky. She'd worked on it slowly over weeks, and though she tired easily, she finished it the day before the party. Alexander stood beside her, looking at the mural. "It's beautiful." "It's us," Emma said. 3 sunflowers, always facing the light. Lily ran past, chasing bubbles, her laughter ringing out pure and joyful. "She's happy," Emma said. "I wasn't sure I'd live to see her happy again." "You did more than live," Alexander said. "You gave her hope. You gave us all hope." Emma leaned against him. "Do you ever regret it? That day she walked into your office with that letter? Your life was so controlled, so predictable. We turned everything upside down." Alexander thought about the man he'd been, cold, isolated, successful by every metric except the ones that mattered. Then he looked at Lily blowing out candles, at Emma's hand in his, at the home they'd built from the ashes of loss and time. "Regret?" He smiled, genuine, warm, the kind of smile that reached his eyes. "Emma, that letter was the first honest thing that had happened to me in years. Lily walking into my office didn't ruin my life. She saved it." "We both did," Emma corrected. "You both did," he agreed. That night, after the guests had gone and Lily was asleep, her room decorated with birthday streamers and new art supplies, Alexander sat in his home office. But he wasn't working on business reports or market projections. He was writing a letter of his own. To Lily. "One day, when you're older, you'll read this and maybe understand what you gave me. Before you walked into my office, I thought I knew what success looked like. I thought it was corner offices and stock prices, and a name that commanded respect. Then you handed me a letter from your mother, a letter that shattered every wall I'd built and showed me what I'd been missing. You taught me that strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about being brave enough to let yourself be touched. Your mother taught me that love isn't a liability. It's the only thing worth investing in. I will never stop being grateful that you were brave enough to walk into that building, to trust a stranger, to believe that something beautiful could happen. Because you were right, Lily. Something beautiful did happen. You brought your family home. All my love, Dad. He sealed the letter and placed it in a drawer. Something for her to find years from now, when she was old enough to understand how a single act of courage could change everything. In the next room, Emma was sleeping peacefully. Down the hall, Lily dreamed of sunflowers and fireflies and the father she'd found. And Alexander Hayes, the man who'd once believed in nothing but control, finally understood what it meant to surrender to something greater than himself. Love wasn't a weakness. It was the strongest thing he'd ever known. If this story touched something deep within your heart, you're not alone. Sometimes it takes a child's courage and a dying wish to show us what truly matters. Not the walls we build, but the love we let in. If you believe in stories that remind us of hope, second chances, and the power of family, then hit that like button and let us know this story moved you. Subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt tales that celebrate the beautiful, messy, miraculous journey of being human. Drop a comment telling us your favorite moment from Alexander and Emma's story. We read every single one. Thank you for letting us share this journey with you. Until next time, keep your hearts open and remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone in